Let me ask you a question. Are you living your life, or are you just waking up every day to survive it? Because there was a time, not so long ago, when I was waking up at 8 a.m. already late, already stressed, already my days, not owning them, and then everything changed. I made one decision, one that shifted the course of my entire life. I started waking up at 5 a.m. Yes, you heard me. 5 a.m. Now before you roll your eyes and say, I'm not a morning person, let me tell you this. Success doesn't care if you're a morning person. Your dreams don't care. Your goals don't care. But your future self, they're begging you to rise. So here's my 5 a.m. morning routine that changed everything. And it might just change your life too. Step 1. Wake up with purpose, not panic. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. Not to punish me. Not because I have to. And because I have to. But because I get to. I get to design my day before the world wakes up. I get to invest in me. Before emails, before texts, before noise. Peace is power, and 5 a.m. is when I claim it. Step 2. Hydrate and move your energy. First thing, water, not coffee, water. Life starts with water. That energy flows with hydration. Then I move. I don't need a full workout, but I get my blood pumping, dance, stretch, jump, whatever it takes to shake off yesterday's energy and call in today's power. Step 3. Gratitude and vision. At 5:15 a.m., I sit with my journal. And I write 3 things I'm grateful for. Why? Because gratitude flips the switch from scarcity to abundance. You can't be fearful and grateful at the same time. And then I write my goals, not just what I want, but how it will feel when I get there. Because emotion is the fuel of manifestation. Step 4. Feed the mind before the mouth. Before breakfast, I feed my mind. The podcast, the e-chapter of a book. A message that challenges me, lifts me, expands me. Because you become what you consume. Garbage consume. Garbage in, garbage out. But if you want gold to come out of you, you better put gold in. Step 5. Take bold action. By 6 a.m., I've already done more for my growth than I used to do in a whole day. Now it's time to take that energy into action. I ask myself, what is the one bold thing I can do today that scares me just a little, but will move me forward a lot? Then I do it. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Listen, this routine isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's not about the time clock. It's about the message you send to the universe when you decide to rise early and show up for you. Your life won't change in one morning, but if you change your morning, you will change your life. So I challenge you, try it. 5 a.m. Just for 1 week. Show up before the world on a seat. Be in the morning and watch the world start responding to a different version of you. Because everything you want is on the other side of consistency, commitment, and yes, a 5 a.m. wake-up call. Let's rise, let's shine, and let's make it happen. The alarm rings at 5 a.m. It's dark, the world is silent. And in that silence, most people hit snooze. But those few who rise, they know something others don't. They know that the way you start your day is the way you shape your life. Waking up at 5 a.m. isn't just about beating the sunrise or having more hours in the day. It's about waking up with purpose, not panic. So many people begin their day in a rush. They wake up already feeling behind. They check their phone, scroll through emails, glance at notifications, and feel their heart rate increase before they've even gotten out of bed. That's panic. That's reaction. That's reaction. That's chaos. And when your first moments are driven by urgency, your entire day follows that rhythm. Frantic, fragmented, and out of alignment. But waking up at 5 a.m. with purpose shifts you into intention. It tells your mind, your body, your spirit, I am in charge. I choose how this day begins. I choose how I will show up. Purpose doesn't come from a to-do list. This is where you remind yourself that energy is not something you wait for. It's something you generate. You don't sit around hoping to feel energized. You take action to create energy. And that shift in mindset changes everything. You become the source, not the seeker. That's it. And when you start your day generating energy instead of borrowing it, you start your day in power, not in need. Another benefit, you train your mind to associate movement with empowerment. Instead of thinking of exercise as punishment or obligation, you begin to see it as fuel, as therapy, as a way of honoring your body and preparing your mind. And when that becomes a relationship with movement, consistency follows. It's no longer about forcing a routine. It becomes something you look forward to, something you crave because of how it makes you feel. Also, let's be honest, some mornings you're not going to feel like it. Your bed will feel warmer. Your body will feel heavy. Your thoughts will try to convince you that it doesn't matter. But those are the mornings when it matters most. Because the moment you move, even if it's just a little, you send a powerful message to yourself. I lead, not my excuses. I act in alignment with my goals, not my mood. This is the power of morning movement. It's not about perfection. It's not about performance. It's about presence. It's about showing up for your body, showing up for your energy, showing up for your life. And when you do that every single day, before the world even demands anything from you, you create a sense of inner momentum that no outside circumstance can take away. When you wake up at 5 a.m., you are not just stepping into a new day. You are stepping into an opportunity to align yourself with gratitude. Gratitude is a transformative practice. It doesn't just change how you feel about the world around you, it changes how you feel about yourself. When I sit down to write in my journal every morning, I start with gratitude. It's not a random list of things I'm thankful for, but a deeply intentional acknowledgement of the abundance that already exists in my life. These first few moments of the day spent in gratitude are sacred. They set the tone for everything that follows. You may think gratitude is a small thing, a simple act, but when you commit to it every day, its power is undeniable. It shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. You're no longer waking up and thinking, what do I need? Or what am I lacking? Instead, you begin your day with the mindset that you already have everything you need to thrive. It's a radical shift that's easy to overlook, but it's one of the most powerful tools you can have for creating lasting change in your life. Futurizopia. Gratitude also has the ability to pull you out of the cycle of stress, anxiety, and worry that many of us experience every day. We're constantly told that we need more. More money, more success, more recognition. But when you start from a place of gratitude, you realize that you already have enough. You may not have everything you desire, but you have everything you need. In those quiet moments at 5 a.m., I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and each time I feel my body relax. I breathe deeper. 4. My mind shifts from the constant noise of I need more to a peaceful understanding of I already have. The beauty of gratitude is that it's a practice that anyone can adopt at any time. You don't need to wait for a specific event or milestone to feel thankful. Gratitude, it doesn't require grand gestures. It's the small, everyday things that matter. It's the warmth of your bed on a cold morning, the laughter of a friend, the joy of having food to eat, or the simple privilege of being alive. The more you practice this, the more you begin to see how much you have, even in the smallest moments. The ordinary things become extraordinary when you are present and appreciative of them. When you express gratitude, you are also training your brain to focus on the positive. Our brains are wired to notice what's wrong, what's missing, what needs to be fixed. But when you actively focus on what's going well, your brain starts to look for more of it. It's a habit. The more you focus on gratitude, the more things you have to be grateful for. This practice doesn't just make you feel good, it rewires your brain to expect goodness and to notice it in your life, whether it's big or small. But gratitude doesn't stop at just acknowledging what's good. It also connects you to your deeper desires and intentions. After I write down my 3 things of gratitude, I move into the next part of my morning routine, visualizing my goals. Gratitude helps me align my goals with my values. It connects me to the deeper reasons why I want what I want. Without gratitude can feel hollow, like chasing an empty destination. But when you bring gratitude to the equation, your goals become infused with purpose and meaning. You understand why you want them, not just what you want to achieve. Gratitude also has an amazing way of shifting your energy. If you wake up already stressed or overwhelmed, it's easy to fall into a negative reactive state. But when you start the day with gratitude, you raise your vibrational frequency. You're no longer operating from a place of lack or fear. You're operating from a place of abundance, peace, and possibility. This energy influences everything you do. It shows in the way you speak to others, in the decisions you make, and in how you approach challenges. You begin to act from a place of trust rather than fear. As you continue this daily practice of gratitude, you will begin to notice something remarkable. You start attracting more of what you're grateful for. The universe, or whatever you choose to call it, responds to the energy you put out. Responds to the energy you put out. If you're constantly focused on what's wrong or what's missing, that's what you'll continue to experience. But when you focus on what's already good, you start to attract more good. It's not magic, it's a universal law. Gratitude opens the doors to more blessings, more opportunities, and more joy. One of the most profound ways gratitude impacts your life is by helping you shift your focus from what you can't control to what you can control. We all face challenges, setbacks, and frustrations in life, but gratitude allows you to see beyond those temporary difficulties. It teaches you to look at the bigger picture and realize that even in tough times, there is still much to be thankful for. It empowers you to rise above your circumstances and continue moving forward with resilience and optimism. Gratitude also enhances your sense of connection. When you're grateful for the people in your life, your family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers who show kindness, you foster deeper relationships. It's not just about saying a thank you on occasion, it's about recognizing the impact others have on your life and truly appreciating them for it. The more you express your gratitude, the more you reinforce the bonds that hold you together. Gratitude nurtures your relationships and creates a sense of unity and belonging. Incorporating gratitude into your morning routine doesn't require a lot of time. Just a few minutes of reflection, a few words of acknowledgement, can completely change the way you approach the rest of your day. It's a practice that is simple yet powerful, and it's available to you at any moment. Gratitude transforms ordinary mornings into moments of magic. It turns mundane routines into sacred rituals, and when you begin your day with this practice, you start your day grounded, centered, and ready to face whatever comes your way with a heart full of abundance and possibility. Every morning, before I even think about breakfast, before I let the world in through screens and notifications, I make a conscious decision to feed my mind. This one choice has changed everything for me. It's easy to forget that our minds, just like our bodies, need to be nourished. But not with noise, not with drama, not with distractions. Our minds need wisdom, inspiration, truth, and clarity. And the earlier in the day we feed it, the stronger and more stable we become. At 5 a.m. the world is still quiet. There's no external pressure, no demands yet. That's when your mind is most receptive. In those early hours, your subconscious is still active, still processing, still open. What you choose to pour into it during this window will shape the lens through which you see your entire day. That's why it's so important to be intentional. Instead of starting the day with social media or the news, which often floods the mind with stress, comparison, and overwhelm, I choose something that uplifts, teaches, or stretches me. A few pages from a powerful book. A podcast from someone who has walked the road I want to. A voice that reminds me who I am and what I'm capable of. This isn't about productivity tips or business hacks. It's about alignment. When I feed my mind first, I'm choosing to prioritize inner alignment before external achievement. I'm not trying to conquer the world on an empty mindset. I'm reminding myself that who I am is more important than what I do. When I nourish my mind with empowering content, I remember my purpose. I reconnect to my values. I realign with my vision. The problem most people face is that they try to run on autopilot, but they roll out of bed, reach for their phone, and immediately get hit with other people's opinions, problems, and expectations. Without even realizing it, their thoughts are no longer their own. They've outsourced their mental energy to the internet. And that sets us off a domino effect of disconnection. But when you create a habit of consciously choosing what your mind consumes first thing in the morning, you're reclaiming your power. You're saying, I choose what goes in. I choose what goes in my thoughts. I choose what I will allow to influence my decisions today. And the truth is, what you consume, you become. If you're feeding your mind negativity, fear, or small thinking, that's the lens you'll carry into your day. You'll shrink your potential. You'll hesitate where you should act. You'll doubt where you should believe. But if you're feeding your mind possibility, discipline, courage, and clarity, then that becomes your internal compass. You'll notice solutions instead of problems. You'll take responsibility instead of playing the victim. You'll move forward instead of holding back. Every single morning I ask myself, What kind of energy do I want to carry into today? What kind of person do I want to be? Then I choose content that supports that identity. Some mornings, that means revisiting a chapter from a book I've read before but need to hear again. Other days, it's a motivational audio short documentary clip or a message from someone who has overcome real struggle. The content itself doesn't have to be long or complex. What matters is how it makes me feel, how it shifts my perspective, how it reminds me of my strength and my goals. Over time, this practice creates a mental reservoir of strength. On days when life feels heavy, when things go wrong, when doubt creeps in, I have something to draw from. I don't crumble at the first sign of adversity because I've built resilience through repetition. I've trained my mind to come back to truth, not chaos. That's the power of feeding your mind first. It's not just about learning something new. It's about reinforcing what's already inside you and helping it rise to the surface. Another powerful part of this ritual is that it sets a standard. When you choose excellence in the morning, you're more likely to carry that standard into the rest of your day. You're less likely to settle for mediocrity when you've already connected to greatness. You're less likely to engage in gossip, comparison, or procrastination when you've already activated your higher self. That's the ripple effect of one choice. You start strong, so you finish stronger. It's also important to understand that not all input is equal. Just because something is popular or trending doesn't mean it's worth your time or mental space. Choose content that elevates you. Choose voices that challenge you to rise. Choose stories that ignite something inside you. And just as importantly, avoid what drains you. Your morning mind is sacred. It's not the place for distractions, complaints, or pointless scrolling. There's something deeply empowering about knowing that before the sun even rises, you've already strengthened your mindset. You've already poured truth into your thoughts. You've already reminded yourself that you are capable, that you are focused, that you are becoming the person you were meant to be. And when that becomes your daily rhythm, you no longer need outside motivation to push you. You've become your own source of fire. You've taken ownership of your mental state, and that is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Once I've grounded myself with gratitude, aligned with my vision, and fueled my mind and body, it's time for one of the most critical parts of my morning routine, taking bold, aligned action. This step isn't about checking 100 tasks off a list or drowning in productivity. It's about identifying and executing one powerful move that gets me closer to my goals. One decision, one action, one step. Not random, not reactive, intentional and impactful. Most people wake up and jump straight into busyness. They answer emails, respond to messages, scroll through feeds, and start putting out fires. But activity isn't the same as progress. Being busy isn't the same as being effective, isn't the same as being effective. Taking bold, aligned action means asking yourself, what's the one thing I could do today that would make everything else easier or even unnecessary? What action, no matter how uncomfortable, would actually shift something for me? Not just in theory, but in reality? This is about doing the thing you've been putting off, the one that stretches you, the one that makes your heart race a little. It could be making a call you've been avoiding, launching something you've been sitting on, pitching an idea you've been too afraid to speak out loud. Setting a boundary you know is overdue. Whatever it is, it's not always the easiest thing, but it's always the most meaningful. Bold action doesn't wait until you feel ready. It meets you exactly where you are, asks you to trust yourself, and challenges you to move forward anyway. When you do this first thing in the morning, when you prioritize that one bold step before anything else, you flip a switch inside. You begin your day in creation mode, not reaction mode. You're not reaction mode. You're not waiting for conditions to be perfect or hoping for someone to give you permission. You're not asking the world to open doors for you. You're kicking them open yourself. That kind of energy is magnetic. It ripples into everything else you do. Because when you act with courage, you build momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces you can create in your life. The reason this part of the morning is so transformational is because it builds self-trust. Every time you follow through on something that scares you or challenges you, you prove to yourself that you're someone who follows through. Yes, sir. You start to rewrite the inner narrative that says, I'll do it, or no matter what. You will show up for your vision, and over time, this identity takes root. You don't just believe in your goals, you believe in yourself. It's also important to understand that bold doesn't have to mean loud or dramatic. Bold can be quiet. Bold can be subtle. Bold can be sitting down to write when you'd rather scroll, making a decision that honors your values. Your values. Choosing truth over comfort. Saying no when you're used to saying yes. The size of the action doesn't matter. What matters is the level of alignment and courage it requires. If it stretches you, it's bold. If it's in alignment with who you're becoming, it's powerful. Another reason why this action-first approach works so well in the morning is because your willpower is highest early in the day. You haven't yet been pulled in a million directions. You haven't been drained by decisions or distracted by the noise of the outside world. This is the moment when your clarity is sharp and your energy is fresh. If you wait until later, chances are you'll talk yourself out of it. You'll find excuses. You'll get busy. But when you make your bold move early, you clear the biggest hurdle first, and everything else feels lighter. See? This practice also trains your brain to see challenge differently. Instead of avoiding discomfort, you start leaning into it. You realize that the thing you fear doing is often the exact thing that will lead to growth. And once you face it, it's rarely as hard as your mind made it out to be. That builds confidence. Not the kind of confidence that's loud and showy, but the kind that's unshakable. The kind that comes from evidence. The kind that says, I can trust myself to act even when it's hard. What happens next is a chain reaction. You begin to see yourself differently. You no longer see yourself as someone who hesitates, delays, or doubts. You see yourself as someone who takes initiative, someone who moves forward, someone who creates results instead of waiting for them. And that identity, when reinforced daily, becomes your foundation. It becomes the silent driver behind your decisions, your relationships, your work, and your success. There's also an emotional payoff to this. Bold action dissolves anxiety. It dissolves doubt. When we sit in inaction, fear grows. When we procrastinate, pressure builds. But when we act, even imperfectly, that fear loses its grip, that weight begins to lift. We don't need to have everything figured out. We just need to be in motion, because motion creates clarity. It creates feedback. It creates growth. Fed water. This habit of taking bold, aligned action every morning becomes a practice of leadership. Self-leadership first, which is the foundation of every other kind. When you choose to move even when you're scared, you become the kind of person others respect, follow, and look to for inspiration. Not because you have all the answers, but because you're living in alignment with what you say you value. And that alignment, practiced daily, is what transforms potential into power. The way you begin your morning creates the rhythm and momentum for your entire day. Most people underestimate this truth, so they believe mornings are just a gateway to the day's responsibilities, a time to rush, check boxes, and get out the door. But the morning is not just a transition, it's a launch pad. It's where your energy, mindset, and identity take shape. It's where the tone of your day is set, and it's where your momentum begins to build or break. Momentum is not magic. It doesn't appear out of thin air. It's created through a series of small, consistent that compound over time. When you own your morning, you start stacking wins before the world has a chance to interfere. Those early wins don't need to be huge. Epic. Waking up when you said you would. Drinking water, moving your body. Writing down your intentions. Taking one bold action. These might seem like small things in isolation, but together, they create a powerful chain of movement. And that chain creates emotional and psychological momentum that carries into everything else you do. Think about how different your day feels when it starts in chaos. So when you wake up late, skip breakfast, scroll through your phone for too long, rush through you might try to play catch-up all day, but the stress lingers. The tone has been set, and it's hard to recover from that kind of start. On the other hand, when you start your day calmly, with intention and clarity, you walk into your responsibilities with a different energy. You're not trying to catch up, you're leading the pace. You're responding from power, not reacting from pressure. The truth is, your morning is your foundation. And the strength of anything you build depends on the strength of your foundation. If your day is the house, then your morning is the ground it's built on. When that ground is steady, you can handle more. You can face challenges without falling apart. You can make decisions from a grounded place instead of a reactive one. You're not just surviving your schedule, you're directing your life with clarity and presence. One of the biggest shifts that happens when you master your morning is that you begin to see yourself differently. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through, someone who honors their time, someone who shows up intentionally. That shift in self-perception is critical because how you see yourself is how you show up. If you start your day with discipline, presence, and alignment, you begin to believe that you are someone who can be trusted with big goals and bold dreams. You start to act like the version of yourself you've been chasing. Mornings are not just about what you do, they're about who you become. Every habit, every decision, every moment of presence builds your identity. And when your identity shifts, everything changes. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop relying on willpower. You simply act in alignment with who you now believe you are. That's the true power of morning momentum. It reprograms your self-image. And once your self-image changes, your standards rise. You don't tolerate as much clutter. You don't engage in things that drain you. You don't settle. Because your mornings have taught you what it feels like to be in integrity, and you carry that feeling with you. Momentum also creates emotional resilience. Life will always throw curveballs. Things won't go as planned. But when you've started your day with clarity and confidence, you're more equipped to handle whatever comes your way. You don't spiral when one thing goes wrong. You don't lose yourself in the noise. You've already anchored yourself. That inner stability comes as shield. It doesn't make you immune to stress, but it gives you tools to recover faster, respond wiser, and move forward more effectively. Another key part of momentum is how it removes friction. When you have morning momentum, decisions become easier. You're not second-guessing yourself all day. You've already established your direction. You've already connected to your values. You've already created space to think and feel before the world gets loud. That clarity cuts through confusion. It allows you to move with confidence instead of hesitation. And the less you hesitate, the more you act. You act photo. The more you act, the more results you create. That's how progress accelerates, not through speed, but through steady, focused momentum. When you treat your morning as sacred, everything around you begins to shift. Your relationships improve because you're more present. Your work improves because you're more focused. Your health improves because you're more consistent. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to own the first hour. One intentional morning leads to one powerful day. One powerful day leads to a week of progress. A week of progress becomes a pattern, and that pattern becomes your new normal. Morning momentum is not about perfection. It's not about doing everything flawlessly or checking every box. It's about starting the day in alignment with your highest self. It's about creating space to move, think, breathe, and act with purpose. That energy compounds, that discipline becomes devotion. And that devotion builds a life rooted in clarity, courage, and conviction. The rest of the world may still be sleeping, but you've already moved. You've already shifted. You've already chosen who you're going to be that day. And everything else flows from there. This morning routine didn't just give me structure. It gave me myself. It reminded me that I don't need to wait for opportunities, approval, or motivation to create the life I want. I just need to show up fully and consistently, starting with the very first hour of my day. You don't need a miracle. You don't need perfection. You just need a commitment to rise early, rise strong, and rise with intention. Because once you start winning your mornings, you start winning your days. And when you start winning your days, you start building a life that no longer needs escaping from. So if you've been waiting for the sign to begin, this is it. Rise at 5 a.m. on your morning and watch how everything changes.